So last week, you and I both did videos covering the downfall, or whatever you want to call it, involving Just Pearly Things. Now, I was a person that watched a lot of her content pretty intensely for about a year. You didn't really know a whole lot much about her. You did a little bit of research. You made a video.
Right.
Now, it appears that two of our favorite YouTubers made a video that you didn't seem to like very much, and me, I avoided on principle. Why do you think that happened? We're going to cover that in this video today. So, Kat, you watched this video already. What was your impression of this video before we start running the?
I mean, they brought up some valid points, and like as anyone that's new watching this, we're big Abba and Preach fans. So I this isn't to dog them. I generally like their content, but I also thought a little bit disingenuous with some of the arguments they were making. Like they kept dogging on Pearl and people, a little bit of reviewers. Like, I don't understand, you guys watch this stuff. Whereas, and we had this discussion on the phone call. I mean, these are the same dudes. While maybe they didn't agree with the things that are being said, went on to the, Frauds in Florida podcast, right? And made a couple appearances before everything kind of came out on the wash regarding their scumbag behavior. It just kind of, like, you can't take the high ground and say, oh, I have this moral high ground, when you yourself indeed have fallen into that trap before, because you do not know these content creators. And unless you really dig into it, you're not going to find out. So,
and the thing is, it reminds me, mediocre tutorials and reviews, who was also respected very highly by this platform. He had stuff in the works working with her on business stuff to make lots of money and to get lots of views. But he decided that he wasn't going to work with her after having more stuff revealed to him. And he is definitely revered in the space. So if why do you watch her and all that stuff? Here's the thing, man. I really hate it when I see guys that don't struggle with women making a lot of judgments about guys that do. We know that women on dating apps only swipe right less than 5% of the time. And they find that 85% or 85 out of every 100 guys, they believe them to be below average. Right. Faulty math and all, women's logic at times. To be like, oh, I can't understand why you guys watch her. She got over 1 million subscribers, just like you guys.
Right.
So instead of shaming the viewer, maybe you should ask questions. But anyway, I could be wrong. We're gonna take a closer look at this, and we are going to try to break this down. You ready, Kat?
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right.
Just Pearly Things. What do you think?
I want to think about what?
About her getting in trouble.
It was bound to happen.
Okay, if you aren't aware, Just Pearly Things, the lady who's 26, unmarried, single, career-driven, and constantly tries to educate women on how to be submissive and married by 25, has gotten in trouble recently.
Incorrect. Just Pearly Things didn't try to teach women how to become wives. She has already come out and said that she is somewhat of a modern woman herself. So she was putting together a program led by women who are actually wives to create like a wives school, like a school for women to become wives, that she would not be teaching herself, because she knew that she was not what's the word I'm looking for?
Like equipped.
She's not equipped. She is not qualified. So right then and there, like, guys, I know that you got on H3 and Hassan for doing their homework. We got to get on you for it this time. Do your homework, guys.
Not for not taking her own advice and being the opposite of whatever the fuck she preaches, but more so for having Nick Fuentes, who's a white supremacist,
anti-Semite,
on her platform. And basically, when she invited him on the platform for an interview, she didn't push back against any of the stuff that she said. Basically, was co-signing him.
And I just like to say, when you come on Pearly Things, all right, we've got best smoke for you. And where you now?
Listen, you've sat down and you've ate off Just Pearly Things by tagging us.
So this is personal.
And your production is not our production.
I don't.
Our production is big out here. You get me? I got bare smoke for you lot, bro. Both of you lot. I got smoke for Abba and Preach, bro.
You ain't saying shit now, right?
I'm pretty sure this dude's unemployed now.
You ain't saying shit now.
They got a good point. They got a good point, Cap.
Yeah, that's true.
When you come for Pearly Thing, where you now? Where's the smoke? Where's your cigar? Where's your cigarette? Where is it? Because when you come from one of us, yeah. And what about when people come from one of y'all? What's she gonna do? Nothing.
Listen, I'll say this about
Ooh, fuck out of here, clown.
I think it's wild that people have an issue with her right now when she's made her entire career on clowning black women.
Yes.
Like,
That's
what do you
also
think?
False.
So
she made a career. She made a career clowning modern women. She's had a white feminist actually threaten her in her apartment because she runs her show from her apartment. She had a white liberal feminist threaten to do bodily harm to her in her home because she checked her on being a modern woman.
So this is what I think. So as for the guy with the smoke shit, that shit's corny. I'll be honest with you. That guy, Joe, we got smoke for you, Alba, and like, shut the fuck up. Like, that's corny. So I have no problem with them being petty. I think that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, they're in the right for that one.
I mean, as for the other argument with the black woman thing, I don't watch enough Pearly Things to even have a comment on that. So you're probably way more qualified than I've never really been a fan of her content.
Right.
You've known that for a while.
Yeah.
But it just seems like a lot of pot shots coming out now where there wasn't this vocal. People weren't this vocal when she was not having this issue. You get what I'm saying?
Right. That's really my main problem, Cap, with all of this. I made one video, and I made the video in the form of me being disappointed that it turns out that she is like this. I said what I needed to say. I made my decision after sleeping on it that I just would not follow her channel, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. It didn't need to be all like this. And as much as I respect guys like O'Shea Duke Jackson, I think that he's probably right now, as we're recording this video, recording his 61st Just Pearly Things video. Like, let it be. There's other stuff to talk about. There's other people to talk about. Why is she living rent-free in the Black manosphere spaces? She doesn't need to be doing that. These content creators are way more popular and way more talented than to be preoccupied with whatever Just Pearly Things is doing and saying.
I mean, but I'll be blunt, probably because it gets views off of it, right? Like it's some people would say,
O'Shea doesn't need her for views. Abba and Preach certainly don't need her for views. They weren't even talking about her like that before.
It's easy content though. Like, listen, Abba, it's like, and as you know, they're my favorite on the platform right now. But it's easy content, and I don't really necessarily begrudge them for doing so. But I mean, like I said, with me, what'd you say, O'Shea Duke Jackson releasing that many, people gave us shit for releasing like a video on Sneeko and then another
one video,
right? And to me, right, if I kept making Sneeko videos, then I'd be like, okay, like enough. You're fucking beating a dead horse. Like I made my fucking video. I saw the apology, moved on. Like that's it. You just keep it pushing. And I mean, I think for O'Shea Duke Jackson, that many videos or a lot, just keep beating a dead horse. It just seems like he's clinging on to that view train, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, he could do what he wants with his channel. He's very successful. I think he just crossed 300,000 subscribers. So congrats to O'Shea. Hopefully he gets to 500,000 even quicker because he deserves it.
Yeah, it's good content.
But I feel like once you say what needs to be said, just move on.
Oh, now that she said something about black people as a whole, y'all got an issue. But when she was clowning black, I remember this girl used to have videos back in the day. She used to hit me up all the time. I never really responded much. She used to hit us up and she's like, "Oh, I want to interview you guys. You know, I got one of the fastest growing podcasts in the world." This is like when she had like 100K subs. And she had this video. She's like, "Look at this video, it's going viral." And it was her talking to this black woman, telling her how ridiculous she is.
It wasn't because she was black. It's because she was being ridiculous as a modern woman. It had nothing to do with the race.
You know what
It
the weird
just so
part is?
happens when you invite black people somewhere, sometimes they make a fool of themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
But if but check this out, Cap. If she only had white girls in her show, what do you think people would be saying?
anti-white, or oh, she racist.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
you have all these other people on the channel, but I don't see any black people there.
That's true. Yeah, like, well, because you can't win. You can't win in this. You cannot win society. If you have only white people, you're most likely a racist. If you have a diversity and you have something negative to say about somebody from a different skin tone, it's going to come out as you still being racist. It's a lose-lose, really. There's no winning in that situation. And as for, I think Abba and Preacher are a little bit better than this, and maybe they're like me. Maybe they just don't partake in her material, so they're kind of just, they saw some clips and that's where they're getting their viewpoint on. Because I'm going to be very clear, I don't watch her content like that. So, I mean, that could be playing a part in it.
I was probably going to save this for the end of the video, but here's where I'm at with it, Cap, and I'm really starting to analyze this. I think that the reputation that Abba and Preach have built, and rightfully so, like they earned this reputation.
Right.
But I think that they're kind of starting to feel themselves. I think they know what their reputation is, and they're kind of like supposed to be the guys who are super reasonable.
Yeah.
And people come to them because they're funny, they're insightful, and it seems like they don't particularly take anybody's side. And it seems like they have kind of started to feel themselves a little bit on that level. And now they're kind of taking shots at other people from this supposedly morally superior position, which is easy to do. Everybody's doing it. Yeah. But I think that they're kind of falling into a little bit of a trap that they accuse the other big guys like H3H3 and Hassan Piker?
Yeah, Hassan Piker, yeah.
Fucking bitch ass nigga anyway. Where they would call these guys out for being really quick to jump on people and hadn't really done their research to try to sound like they are morally superior to other people.
Yeah.
And then now we get this video where now they have fallen into that trap.
Fair point.
And on the face of it, it's like, all right, whatever, it's fine. But
this is why I avoided
started
this video.
seeing her
let me just say, I'm sorry for interrupting the video. I did not want to watch this video specifically because I sensed that they were going to make a fool of themselves in this video. Really, it's just Abba for the most part who's making a fool of himself. Preachers is kind of just sitting there. But the point is, I thought that they were going to I thought this was going to be a bad video.
Right.
And because I liked them so much, I didn't even want to watch this video. I was like, you know what? It's another Pearly Things video. I'm just going to keep swiping past it and watch something else. Well, so this is not just to shit on these guys. I tried to avoid this video because I like these guys, and I thought that they were going to embarrass themselves.
I mean, I'll say this to be like, just so we're kind of clear, like you're not watching Pearly Things anymore. Nope. I've never watched her, so it's we're not coming from a standpoint of we're Pearly Things fan, but we're
I'm done. Like once I said I was done, I was done. But do not recommend this channel anymore. I'm not.
But it just comes off as disingenuous from their aspect thus far, in my opinion.
And the thing is, like, it just feels like they're looking down on everybody from this, this perch atop this ethical, Mount Ethics.
Right.
And they're standing at the top and they're looking down on everybody like, you guys are clowns and you guys, you guys aren't as reasonable as we are. And it starts to come across that way.
Try to do the new come up where she transitioned from what she used to be, which was before her videos were like, whitest girl in the world reacts to new rap song. Whitest girl in the world.
Pause for a second, because I don't think people picked up, because I found some of those videos. Like when I did the white man reacts, that's why I did that way. Dude, that's why I did it. It was like such a subtle shot that I don't think anyone picked up on that when I did that. Like me kind of talking about her apology video. I'll put like a picture of the whatever, but I thought that was kind of funny. Continue.
To Abba and Preach. I'm like, okay, this racial dynamic that she keeps playing into is corny and cringe as fuck. But she saw it as a marketing ploy. That was her in to get in, right? She then transitioned to the next step, which is like, oh, I see what Kevin Samuels and some of these other red pills are doing. Let me try to emulate that. So she inserted herself and she was just talking. And I was like, y'all don't find it fucking weird that a white woman who grew up in a extremely wealthy in some rural part of America, okay?
So I'm gonna show you the
Look
front
how many
of the
views
house.
that has, though.
So I wish I could
4K?
like be in these videos, but
Yeah.
I could not find a sibling that felt like.
I do want to say something about what they said. Again, they misrepresented. She called into the Kevin Samuels show because she was trying to find out really what she should be focused on, because she was kind of putting a lot of focus on her athletic career.
Right.
And then when she heard Kevin talk, first of all, she didn't like what Kevin had to say originally, but then she kept listening and kept an open mind. And then she called in and she was too nervous and kind of flubbed it up a bit. She was embarrassed by that, but she actually listened, and then she changed her views because she was already on a track towards being a modern woman. And she was set on that path by her parents who have this wealth. I mean, you see it right there. And she didn't want to be one of these single chicks out here listening to Beyonce and Ciara.
I mean, I kind of made this a point, like looking at the video right here. That's also in the Midwest. I'm not criticizing. I don't know exactly where she lived in the Midwest, but there's some places I could buy that for like, you know, maybe 700, 800,000, depending on the area.
No, her parents are her father has a very successful business. He's
does
a
he? Okay.
multi-millionaire.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know, because I know with property, I was looking at places in South Dakota.
Yeah.
And even
That's an estate. That's not a nice house. That's an estate. Even in this camera shot, you don't see the whole house.
Right. That's true. But I'm just saying that there's places I've looked in South Dakota, Missouri, where that big, like a big old mansion, you could get for like $1 million, which
Yeah.
isn't that
But
big.
you know, not
saying.
a lot of people can afford a house for $1 million anywhere.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
Is making her career giving marriage and life advice as some young 22.
She's already said she doesn't give advice. We've already covered this with the Hafiz, with Hafiz embarrassing himself. She covered this already,
Right.
but you didn't do your research. She doesn't give advice. She says she's not an advice channel. She does not give advice to men. Her channel is based on edutainment. She brings the girls on who have these wild thoughts about what the real world actually is. And then she sets them straight by, you know, bringing up different facts, figures, statistics, bringing on other men to give anecdotal accounts of what's what. And she basically just lets the women look like a fool because it gets a lot of clicks and views. Why? Because in our society, women have not been allowed to be examined, to be critiqued for their behavior and their delusions. There's been over 15 years since it's been socially legal to check a woman on anything. So the reason why it's getting so many subscribers is because there's not a lot of voices in the space, and guys are tired of being silenced and being shamed for the standards that they have when they want to deal with women. And then you get a bunch of men in the manosphere. Of course, they're going to get deplatformed. But not only do you get a woman to speak on behalf of men's issues, she's a mediocre looking white woman too.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the demographic that corporations have said only their voices matter. That's the reason she's popular, and her knowledge of the YouTube algorithm, which, hey, Abba and Preach, you should probably know since you also defeated the YouTube algorithm.
23-year-old to older black women. I'm like, you ain't got any Asian, Latinos, white women to.
And that's a lie, because admittedly, you didn't watch the show. She brought on plenty of white women, Hispanic women that she could find in the UK or was willing to travel there.
Yep.
It just so happens that her staff that does the recruiting, and her staff is mostly black, they let the people on the show that responded to the casting call.
Fair point.
But had you actually done your research, Abba, you wouldn't be making statements like this.
True.
No, black women. So I was already looking at her a little bit weird, and she invited me a bunch of times. I never wanted to go on. My man's 28 going on 80. And I don't
Yeah.
want that to be you guys.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
why today's
yeah, I thought that was a part of the video.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
No, after a while you can't. It just says Instagram user.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't find it. How would you find it if it just says Instagram user? You'd have to scroll,
Yeah,
all
scroll
the
all
way
the way
down.
back. Yeah.
And you're not going to go through general. There's hundreds of DMs.
Oh, it's in general?
Yeah, I didn't put it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to this bitch. Why I put her in the primary? She going to general. Fuck her. You fucking dweeb. This girl was corny to me. Do I think she's a grifter? Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I don't think she believes half the stuff that she says that comes out of her mouth. Her friends, her family have already come out and said stuff against her, and she's made up certain aspects of her life. But more importantly, I don't know, you just see the switch up that she's done over the last 2 years, and it's been fascinating to see the kind of title she had before, content she's making, to what she's making now. I just don't buy it. I never did. At the end of the day, do I think she's some kind of race supremacist? No, I don't. I think she's just somebody who wants to make money, and her capitalistic mindset made her realize that black men will support a woman who echoes what they think, especially if she doesn't look like.
Hey, do you think that most of her subscribers are black, Cap?
Probably, yeah.
Actually, no.
Really?
No.
I don't know.
Because she has more than 1.3 million subscribers. If you look at across the black manosphere, you'll see that even the best black YouTubers are like, I'll say, just made 300,000, and he is the godfather of the black manosphere 2.0.
Right.
He just hit 300,000 subscribers. So with black men already listening to Red Pill content, you don't think that they would have heard of MTR? He's at 500,000. Took him a long time to get there.
I mean, okay. So, like, yeah, probably a majority
Most of her
audience-
subscribers are probably white, and they come from around the world because she has crossover appeal. Now we're back to this Eminem shit all over again. Oh, Eminem is not that great. How did he sell so many records? The fact that he is white, yes. Hip hop is a black art, yes. But because he's white, and there's a bunch of other people that wish they could be cool like black people, a bunch of white people are going to buy the albums. That's how he goes diamond.
I mean,
Do you think that
records.
you know, because it's a black art form, then that means all the black people are buying Eminem's album? No, most black people don't like Eminem simply because he's white.
Which is a shame. You know, my opinion.
Eminem has crossover appeal.
Yeah.
He's also from the Midwest. He's also really pasty.
Yeah.
Just like Just Pearly Things. So you're making these assumptions that her subscriber base is mostly black based upon an erroneous perception that all of the people that go on her show are black, which is false. Because you didn't do your research, Abba. And the reason why I'm calling you to task, Abba, is because you're the one that's normally calling people to task for not doing their research. And now here you are,
fair point,
making claims that are false. Is it because you're trying to tell lies? No, but because you didn't do your research. So at this point, Abba, what makes you different than the Hassan Pikes that you don't like, or the H3H3s? What makes you different? Because y'all both fell into the same trap. This is why I didn't want to watch this video.
Truth is, she's a goofy broad who found a way into the community and was able to make a lot of money off you guys. And she will continue, because a lot of dudes are more concerned with getting back at women or showing them up than they are with actually getting to the truth of any situation. Because if you look at her, she's a giant flaming hypocrite. The thing that she is the exact thing that she preaches against. She ain't got no husband. She's a career-driven woman who's very, very argumentative and isn't submissive in any type of way.
And that's also false. It's half false. Does she have a husband?
I believe she's career-driven, though. I would have to say that.
Yeah, career-driven, that part is right. But the fact that she's argumentative, notice how she never argues with men on her platform.
Well, actually, to be fair, she didn't even argue with Nick Fuentes.
Hello!
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that is. I just realized that is actually. I'm glad we're doing this together, because that really did stick out to me. You can't really call someone argumentative when they're too afraid and too much of a coward, like I said in my video, to stand up for their beliefs and kind of acknowledge what is being said is completely wrong. So yeah,
and she said it multiple times. I don't argue with men, and I don't give advice to men.
Yep.
I believe that men are the leaders. She said it even when in that bullshit apology video, she reiterated the same thing that she said on valuetainment when she was going head to head with Hafiz.
Yep.
She's been consistent on her views on this.
Yep.
She is not argumentative with men.
Yeah, that's a swing and a miss by Abba again.
How's she the one to tell everyone how to live and what they should be, but she's not even an example of the things?
She doesn't tell anyone how to live. She said this is edutainment.
Yeah, she talks about. Y'all never found that shit kind of weird? And then on racial issues, I don't even think that she's some kind of supremacist. I just think she's ignorant. That's it.
He's right on that.
Yeah, he is right.
And when a man came on the platform and said a bunch of stuff, she just didn't have the wherewithal or the ability to counter anything because she wasn't well read on it.
And there was a lot of things that she was agreeing on that, was whatever. But whatever.
I just think.
And yeah, Preach had to hold her accountable for that.
For many of the subjects that she talks on. None of this is surprising. So I thought this was actually kind of boring and dull. Yeah. What do you think?
It was just very expected. When I saw that shit, I was like, yeah. What the fuck did you expect? Yeah. Of course. So whatever.
Well, this is how, I'm not going to play the whole guy's video. We're going to put the link in the description to the whole video. Actually, if you guys want to fucking watch this shit, you guys can watch that shit if you want to. But the point is that it's very, very difficult for me to accept your opinion when you are not well versed in who you are talking about.
So there's one thing I want to say, because at the end of the video, they talk about there was a guy on there who was asked to make a segment for her show that was essentially Monday through Friday.
Sarah Garvey.
What's that?
Sarah Garvey.
I believe so, 10 to 5. And he was talking about splits. And it was going to be 70-30. 70 split to Pearl, 30 to him, even though she wouldn't be on the show. Mm-hmm. And that percentage slip, the reason, because you're not playing the video, I'll just talk about it. I do think that is a predatory type of percentage slip. Like, I could get 70-30 in favor of the guy who's actually making the content, where 30% is covering some of the overhead. But to take 70% of the income off of pretty much that individual's work, I think that's like machinima type numbers. That's disgusting. So, I mean, I think Pearl, because I'm not trying to sit here like co-sign Pearl, because there's a lot of things that I just don't like about her, just as her moral fiber and also with how she carries herself, to essentially take advantage of a worker like that. It's not a good look. That's like machinima Yaos type gamer content.
Well, I will give you some pushback on that, Cap. As somebody who has worked in a business where the business wants to take the bulk of the money that comes in, when the worker does pretty much all the work. And I had to learn this the hard way, Cap. When I used to work at a chain gym, and they would charge the client $130 a session. And if they gave me my commission, I would get, what would I get? I would get 53, something like $53 to $58 out of that 130. And a lot of my clients thought that was unfair. And it is. But here's one of the things that you have to understand. When I worked at that chain gym, they gave me a place where I had all the equipment I could ever need. They gave me leads that sometimes I did not have to go out there and actually prospect for.
Right.
They took care of all the insurance. They took care of the payroll taxes. There were a bunch of things where they set up the environment. So the only thing I had to do was show up to the gym at the time that me and the client agreed upon, service the session, make sure they don't get injured. So while it does seem unfair to the client, well, I would not have gotten to know the client. I would not have gotten to meet you or know you if the company did not go out and do all the hard work, the heavy lifting. Now, I work for a different fitness company that gives me about half of what's paid, and I don't do any prospecting at all, right? So I think that that's fair. But when it comes to 70-30 in Pearl's case, she did all the legwork to build up this massive following that allows him to get easy access to more subscribers. And we don't know what else she's also paying for as far as, signing on. But here's another thing too, Cap. And this is where we got to hold Sarah Garvey accountable. He signed the contract, or he had the choice to sign the contract or not sign the contract. So if she's giving you terms that you don't like, you can counter offer, or you can say, you know what? It's been great working with you. No, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah. Or as Cap would always say,
all set.
I'm all set. So somebody wants to give you contract terms that favor them, then your job is to either decline those terms or to counter offer with something that you think is more fair in your favor.
But I'll push back on this. Two wrongs don't make a right, though, right? So in that situation where you were taken advantage of by the gym, yes, there were certain perks to it, but you were taken advantage of. Doesn't necessarily mean making two wrongs make this right.
But I agree to the terms.
30% is kind of insane. Yes, they do agree to the terms. And that's the own individual. So I'm not saying she's a criminal. I'm just saying that is kind of like you're not really looking out for your people, quote unquote, in my opinion. Because I had better fucking monetization rates when I was doing the gaming stuff. I was getting like an 80-20, like 80% me, 20 to the company. And that's kind of industry standard, right? Whereas 70% is going to the company, only 30 is going to the creator. And yeah, she did build up to the audience, but if you're going to go and make shows and have people do a lot of legwork into these shows while they have the studio that's already there in place, if anything, having another show on the channel, having something more frequent is going to bring more revenue to the channel as a whole. And that 30%, while not huge to the channel, could be big. And I think 70-30 for 70 for the creator and then 30 back to Pearl would make far more actual reasonable sense, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. So, just kind of like summarize, I'm glad that Preach stayed quiet and he let Abba talk. Abba, you were probably right. Maybe 45% of this video, you were correct, about 45%. And the stuff that you were wrong about, you were really wrong. And this is coming from a guy who actually listened to her talk. I actually listened to her. I watched entire shows. I watched the pregame, the actual podcast. I didn't watch every episode, but I watched enough to know exactly what her stances were. She's gone on other platforms and she's been consistent. So if you want to say that she is a hypocrite for not being married, well, she already knows that her dating prospects have now dwindled because she's mediocre looking. She calls herself a 5. So she knows that she is mediocre. She's average looking and she makes too much money. She's also come out and say, I did not think that I would get 1 million subscribers in under a year.
Yeah.
So since it kind of goes back to when you made that video about Sneeko, right? And then everybody's saying, oh, you're just trying to get views off of Sneeko. And it's like, what in our view history would let you, that would give you the idea that we thought this video was going to jump off?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's true.
So she had no idea she was going to be this successful. She had no idea she was going to make all this money because most people fail at YouTube.
Pretty much everyone fails.
Yeah, almost everyone. Not Abba.
No,
but Abba can speak on, how, these guys are goobers and how they're struggling. And, you should just go out there and talk to girls. And then the next video Abba and Preach does is about some women making a false accusation about some guy that tried to talk to a girl.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't have the same problems that these other guys have. That's great. That's why we fucking love you. But God damn it, like you're so out of touch now. And you just kind of you remember your struggles, but it's like your struggles are so far away, you just can't understand why anybody would watch Just Pearly Things.
I mean,
not everybody is a successful comedian with 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube.
I mean, I'll be fair, though. I think it's hard to stay grounded when you get that big.
I'm scared of it, man. What if we make it big?
I mean, hopefully. But I think
But I don't want to be that. I don't want to pretend like I don't remember all the problems I had before I became successful.
Listen, even in the day-to-day, right? Like we both have successful careers outside of the YouTube stuff. We both make over 6 figures, right?
Yeah, and I come from the fucking dirt. So for
Yeah.
me to get to where I'm at, to live where I live, to drive the cars that I drive, but I still ride for people who struggled the way I struggled.
I mean, listen,
when I was working at UPS and I was fucking getting up for work with my work alarm
yeah,
at 1:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
doing manual labor in my sleep.
I mean, listen, I started from the middle. Now I'm here. So, like, I didn't start from the bottom. I ain't gonna claim, dude. Right? I grew up in a family, a good household. But I think when it kind of comes down to it, is it's just very hard to stay grounded in reality. Now, I've had certain tribulations and like trials and tribulations in life that have definitely kind of affected my worldview and kind of brought me back and kept me kind of humbled in a way.
Oh, did it red
just with
pill you a
health and
little
other
bit?
things, but like when you get that successful, I mean, you do get a little bit out of touch. So I'm hoping. I love their content, still do. I'm just hoping they kind of next time in a content like this, they maybe look into it a little bit more. Maybe they don't like her. Maybe there's a personal grudge we just do not know about. It seems like there is, like with one of the staff on there. So maybe they're just painting a broad brush over it. But when I go to a Abba and Preach video, I'm looking at like I want a reasonable take because these dudes are funny, but they're also reasonable, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I don't view them as a left or a right or whatever. Like they just some issues they have certain viewpoints, some other issues they have the wildly other viewpoints on it. And that's one of the reasons why I respect them as a creator. They're uniquely themselves. And I feel like in this video, they did kind of fall into a trap. And I'll just make this as a quick side note. And we talked about this on the phone call. You can't sit here and shame viewers of just pearly things when you've kind of done material in the past with some questionable content creators, right? I'm not saying you were a big fan of the frauds in Florida, but you still went on their platform a couple times, try to give them a chance. So what makes you far better than your viewers to give someone a chance?
Well, I think that they feel like they got burned at one time and they learned a lesson, which you got to give them credit for.
No, and listen, I'm not knocking them because I've never really liked the frauds in Florida because I thought it was intellectually disingenuous when you're having
They were very intellectually dishonest.
Club girls, like little girls, 21, 22-year-olds, who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, come onto your show so you can have a very, like, fucking layup, and it's just, I thought it was, like, when did they grow? Did they grow when they made intellectual content earlier in the day? No.
But you know what made it worse, Cap? You know what made
that?
it worse? Not only did they just bring a bunch of girls that were easy to dunk on, they also tried to frame them as the majority of women.
Yeah,
that's the problem that I really had.
No, that was
dude,
that was stupid. Well, I think let's be honest, neither of them really had successful in the dating sphere. They try to paint light like that one.
No, Walter has over 1,000 bodies.
Oh, Walter, right? Walter, yeah, the goofy dude. Whatever. I'm just gonna call him like I'll call him Goofy. He like that dude getting that like no, that was just ridiculous. But getting back to the point. I like Abba and Preach. I'm still a massive fan of Abba and Preach.
Yeah,
I think you're still a massive fan.
Yeah.
Just when you're gonna make these videos, I don't know, maybe a little bit more research. That's my only criticism. I still love them as content creators.
Well, can I offer a little bit of defense for them, Cap?
What's that?
When you look at them, they always have to write material because they are comedians. They're actual legitimate stand-up comedians, right?
Yeah.
They have to write material. They have to rehearse material. They have a different podcast. I think they kind of abandoned. It was Abba versus Preach. I don't even think.
Yeah, it was.
I don't. I had to check on a while, right? They've got family life stuff. Abba is single, but Preach has a wife, and he has got the family life stuff that he's got to do. And they cover a bunch of different topics, and so I think that it is impossible to do adequate research on every hot button topic that is covered. So I think that especially with you and I, when we cover so many different topics, there are certain topics I won't even touch because I'm just not willing to do the in-depth research that is required to not sound like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, fair point. Yeah, they haven't uploaded on that channel in 9 months.
Yeah, so it's they tried to expand. They had the whole set there, And I just think that it's just a lot. So to ask them to do perfect research all the time would be unfair. But so you have to expect that they're going to put their foot in their mouth at least a few times a year. And
Right.
I believe,
Nobody's going to be perfect.
that they put that the ABBA in particular, not so much preach in this video.
Listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not going to sit here every fucking take I've given on this channel is perfect, or every take you've given is perfect. But at least do the basic research, because some of the things that he said, easy Google search, you could find and correct that. I'm not saying to spend hours and hours, but if you are going to talk about a subject, at least have some type of research done so you do not look like a fool. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And the thing is that when you go out of your way to speak with authority about someone's content that you don't watch, and it's malicious, then it sounds like you have some other kind of agenda. Now, we know that ABBA doesn't, because ABBA is good with the money or without, right?
Right.
But it seems like he has some sort of personal issue where, he's using shaming language and calling her names and all of this stuff. And I'm just kind of like, oh, this is not a great look, ABBA. And this normally ain't you.
No, that's not why I subscribe to their channel. I think the reason what brought me and you in is their reasonable takes. And they're one of the people, like, we're not comedians, right? Not claiming, now I look like a clown, but when it kind of comes down to it, is they had really good takes and they were balanced. Now, I didn't always agree with some of the things they'd say, but when they came and had that conversation, I could at least appreciate it. So,
right.
That's
and
my
I
biggest
asked myself too, are they going at her because she's on the red pill side of things?
Yes.
But then I had to actually think about it, because I don't want to, spread a bunch of opinions about ABBA that I don't know to be true, because that would be wrong. Yeah. And you think about how he's gone at some of the people that pander to the women, like the Derek Jacksons of the world, and the way that, they roasted up those people. You'd have to say, you know what? They're at least somewhere in the vicinity of being an equal opportunity roaster when it comes to the two different ideologies. But It's so easy to beat up on red pill ideology. And then the funny thing is that when they see some of the absurd stuff that's happening in society, they end up sounding like red pill content creators themselves.
True. Very true.
So I don't know. You guys in the comment section, you let us know. I know this is one of our longer videos, but I thought that this video was important to do because, again, I did not want to watch this video, because I just did not want to have a negative view of any of the content that they do ever. And there are certain times where they're going to have a viewpoint, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to avoid that one. No, thanks. I'm all set. Over here on TSP, you know us as being the home of the cold truth and the hot take.
Correct.
And I want to let you guys know that there are going to be times where we're going to get up here and we're going to make a fucking fool of ourselves. You in the comment section, hold us accountable. We know that you will, because you're going to hold us accountable whether we're right or wrong. Some of the comments we get on these videos, Cap. God damn.
And we're going to be having a special video talking about some of those comments. So,
oh man, imagine making a video where people are saying racist stuff, and you have to deal. Yeah, we had a white woman co-sign racist stuff. We went at her, and we got flack from both black people and white people. We went at the black racist in Charleston White, and we got flack from both the white people and the black.
Yeah, listen. The Charleston White, I got a lot of flack because I have no love for that type of individual. Where like, oh, what's this white boy got to say? Like, listen. When you're saying hateful and awful shit and you're going to defend it, that shows more about you than it does about me. Just saying.
Anyway, in the comment section, I ain't
co-signing any of that hateful shit. So,
in the comment section below, let us know. Are you still watching Just Pearly Things? Do you think that ABBA was 100% correct? Do you think that ABBA's video and his commentary was flawed? You let us know down in the comment section below. Until next time.
Peace.